Alright YouTube, so we are finally back to talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake. For those that don't know, if you didn't see my community post a couple days back, I've been incredibly sick all week, which is why we haven't uploaded at all. Today is the first day that I felt relatively normal. Still got a bit of a head cold, still got my nose just like stopped up, sore throat, stuff like that, but today's the first day that I've actually had like the energy to want to make a video, so here we are. Now, what we have today is there was an interview with Naoki Yamaguchi and I believe some other devs with Unreal Engine. Of course, it's about how they optimize Remake for the PS5. Now, of course, because they're talking with Unreal Engine, they're talking about a lot of technical stuff on the development side of things. This is not anything that we're really that interested in. The article will be linked in the description. You can read it if you want to. I don't understand most of it. All that really matters from this article that we're going to look at anyways is like the first question that's asked to Yamaguchi and the answer that he gives. Digital Foundry called Final Fantasy VII Remake INTERGRADE the most satisfying PS5 upgrade scene to date. On the technical side, what were your major goals coming into the next-gen update? Yamaguchi replies with, my biggest goal was to get a first-hand feel of the performance of the next-gen hardware leading up to the next installment of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was able to learn several things, like how much load is feasible using 3K and 4K rendering resolutions, or what the threshold is for loading high-quality assets while allowing players to play without stress, since the I/O bottleneck is now gone due to the implementation of the high-speed SSD. These are all very meaningful experiences for us developers working on our next title. Now, why that's important and really the only paragraph worth reading is because we have Yamaguchi, of course, discussing the next game, Remake Part 2, being PS5 only. Now, for some reason, that seems to be news to people, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. It's not news to us. We already know this. We talked about this a while back. Nomura, in an interview sometime before Intermission came out, and INTERGRADE came out, like, he confirmed that for us. He said almost a similar thing. Like, they were doing the Yuffie DLC and INTERGRADE to get used to the PS5 hardware. Like, that's not news to us. It was the same interview where he talked about the future of, like, Remake and DLCs, but I can't remember if we ever came to a conclusion whether or not he was saying after Part 2's finished, they might do more DLCs, or after the entire Remake project's finished. I don't remember what that was, but it was that same interview. Anyways, I've seen somebody share this over on Reddit, and it had a surprising amount of upvotes, I thought, considering that this isn't really new information, but I guess some people out there aren't aware that the game is, like, confirmed to be PS5 only. But apparently, there are people out there that are still hopeful, or at least thinking that Part 2 could still come to the PS4. And apparently, Maximilian Dude's one of the people that has said this as well. So when you go to the Reddit post and scroll down a bit, you can see this comment that says, there's been some speculation that due to the PS5's limited supply, Part 2 would be scaled back so that it could also work on PS4. I've always called nonsense on this, and I'm a bit upset Max Dude even said it because he has a lot of followers that are influential. But yeah, getting a quote like this is important to quell those fears people had thought up. Now, to be clear here before we continue, I don't know if that's true. I don't even know where I could find that quote if he did say it. I don't know. He live streams like every day for hours and hours. He could have just said it during a live stream at some point. I have no idea. But if he did say that, I wonder why. Why he would think that, or why anybody would think that. Why would they scale back, like, the development of the game, making it PS5 only, the best, like, possible outcome we could have for Part 2. Like, that's going to be what we want. You want the game to be PS5 only, to have the best technology possible for it. Scale it back just to make it work on PS4. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's going to give us the best gameplay, the best graphics, the best worlds, etc., etc. You already know this. Don't get me wrong, man. I love Max. He's one of my like favorite FF7 channels. He's kind of my go-to. He's one of the few that I trust his opinion and thoughts on stuff. And he's had some bold predictions in the past. He was like the first channel I'd ever seen, the first person I'd ever seen, who like years before Remake came out, he's the first person I've seen say that Part 1 would potentially be Midgar only. And I never crossed my mind. I knew the game was broken up into multiple parts. I never even considered the fact that it'd be Midgar only, and he was right on that. I don't know if he had like some inside info, or if he's just making a bold prediction. I thought that was a weird take, whether Max said it or somebody else said it, whoever. Like that's just it's just a weird thing. Why would somebody think that? It just doesn't make any sense. And this comes from somebody that's been defending the PS4 for like the last year or so, because everybody always talks about like we don't want Part 2 on PS4 because PS4 is old technology, but it's like there's amazing, massive games on the PS4. And again, we're not trying to hash this like conversation up again, but I've been defending the PS4, but I don't want Part 2 on PS4. I want it on PS5. Anyways, dudes, that is pretty much the video. I'll have, of course, the Unreal Engine like interview down below if you want to check it out. It's interesting. It's just not anything we had to read over. It had been a lot of like technical jargon that just doesn't make sense to me, and probably some of you, maybe most of you. But it's still interesting to read over like how they were able to change the game and like optimize it, and make like the file size smaller and stuff like that, even if I don't entirely understand everything that's being said. Anyways, but dudes, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys already want to update more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter, dashingdavidYT. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description. Into the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Cobain.